Okay, we are live. Ni hao, bonjour to the online world. We will start a discussion around quadrillion in terms of the understanding of how the network is supposed to work when the understanding of the nodes itself is to a point whereby creating the stable coins around the same is able to increase the power of the network to the next level. You're going to start in a while. I'm putting myself on mute. We have the data sets with us. I'm going to discuss this. This is, I would rather say, it's an auspicious um, data node in terms of the latitude and longitude and the quantum world. All this very entangled. There is a lot of good chaos, which is always happening. What I would suggest anyone and everyone just to be aware about the good chaos and work around it. So we'll start in a while, and the discussion would be around the framework of quadrillion and how these nodes can create the network for the stable coins to work in a manner whereby it's task based and it is able to overcome the, I would say, the trillion problems which the planet, or I would rather say the universe, uh, is part of right now. And honestly, it's very easy to get out of it if the right nodes work in a framework for the network effect to be impacted for the right reasons. So I'll start in a while, putting myself on mute. Okay, I'm unmuting myself for the framework of quadrillion to be executed henceforth, uh, keeping in keeping in the parameters in a sizable manner, which perhaps is able to contour the data set in a manner it has to be, and being trade secret at the same point of time. So let's talk about trees. A lot of linking can be done around trees as for the roots, trees, weed is concerned. And I'm talking in terms of the tagging part. This is G06F16 slash 2246. Then we have graphs, linked data sets, which can be part of G06F16 slash 9024. Knowledge process outsourcing. That's the KPO unit of anything and everything. From the longest time, I mean, I haven't researched in that manner as far as what was the first data set of the KPO unit in India, but I would take it for granted around about 99 2000. And this is under the data tagging of G06N slash 022, that is knowledge engineering and knowledge acquisition. And if we combine this with the social networking, it would be G06Q50/01, which is social networking. And net neutrality has to play a very pivotal role in terms of all these companies which are full grown based on the data of the nodes. Those need to be not only questioned, but they have to give a part of the profits to the core, which is ITU. ITU is International Telecommunication Union, and they have to be part of the protocols. Otherwise, GDPR compliance is mandatory. That is my understanding of what I understand as far as protocol diplomat is concerned. If we talk about the security part, the evaluation of the systematic approach, it would be under G06F21/577. And when we talk about mining of data, browsing the structured data languages and the equations around it for the probabilities to work in a manner it has to work, that would be G06F16/26. And I mean, characterization vectors. This is something which is a very layman topic in terms of what has been done in terms of the research on a global basis. That is under G06F16/26. So I think this is a good data set to understand. And yes, when we talk about different dimensions, which is multidimensional, it would be under G06F16/2264. So this is done. Let's discuss the other factors. Siri, we can talk afterwards. Not now. Okay, we were talking about this data set. Uh huh. Okay, we have layers. Okay, even before I get into the layering part, I'll just talk about L1 is greater than KP, where KP is equal to CDNA. So work on it and see how it works for the framework to work in a manner it has to. So this is one of the embodiments I was working on for last couple of hours, and I think it should work. Next is this discussion. Okay, we are going to talk about the layering and the dimensions. So perhaps if I have to talk about layer, it can be from layer A to zenith, and so we have these knowledge hypergraph, and then we have visualization, which is another layer stuff. Then we have the analytical platforms, and yeah, that's good enough. Next is, let me just rotate. Hmm. So take the data, then transformation and isolation for the layer two to work properly. Layer three is the modules which are there in place to create um, constellations, um, and then obviously, from I would rather say we have to have this replication of layer C at least zillion times before it gets to the understanding of the user experience. Then next is knowledge density, how um, knowledge density is calculated. So it can be based on, I would really go with the real fact, not the related fact, because when you're going through the related fact, there's a lot of hypothesis, and we cannot allow hypothesis to happen, and neither the domain knowledge. We don't need any domain knowledge for this. Um, and on the y-axis, so it's x-axis, y-axis, the z-axis. Okay, uh, strangely, very uh, blatantly, it is like, is anything and everything for the time dilation to happen with the data set to achieve the critical mass and understand the knowledge gap, which is interestingly superior information is under anything, anytime, anywhere, which doesn't work. See, even I think we have to redo anything and everything. Perhaps I'll work on it in the next couple of hours. If you have anything to share, just send me the data and I'll look into it. Okay, next we have interpretation and stuff. I don't want to get into that. I'm just trying to find something interesting out of this. Okay. Okay, let's look into this part. So here we are creating UUID, that is universally unique identifier. Although we can top up it with definition of hypergraph transfer protocol, that is SGTP, and peer-to-peer communication. I mean, I really need to change this. This doesn't work now the way it has to work. Um, okay, this is done. Let's analyze this part. So we need to make changes at the candidate end, which is the API layers, and that is one way of solving those problem sets. So what we are doing is assigning a UUID to every created element. I don't like the word element. I'll rather reframe myself and go to the word inhabitant or perhaps a candidate. It is quite a neutral word. Element itself is just the elementary step one, which doesn't work for the network to work in a manner it has to work. So let's do some calculations around it. Next would be, we have SGTP, that is defined hypergraph transfer protocol. Look into this. So in this particular case, the server has a single node. It is listening to the candidate through the standardized APIs, is storing the locally generated hypergraph elements based on their way of interaction with the APIs, and UUID that doubles as a routing address and reaches the peer servers through HTTP to retrieve remote elements when needed. We are replacing elements and putting it with parameters, and the parameters itself is dynamic. So I am of the opinion that this is going to take care of the network, at least as far as the layering is concerned. Let's utilize this data set and see how it works. And accordingly, we can look into the other aspects maybe 48 hours from now. So whosoever is watching this out and actually is going to code it in some manner or the other, I would rather say just um, the application itself would be applicable for just 48 hours from the time this interface is looked by any of the folks in any of the worlds. Thank you for watching this out. Have a great day ahead.